Novak. At this time, I'm working at Mayo Clinic Health System as a social worker. Prior to this, I have been in nursing home settings for over 28 years. So I've had a little experience with advanced directives. I actually have been in the field prior to advanced directives being a state requirement. So I have seen them through from birth to present. So I'm going to let Holly give a little bit of information on them, and then I am going to follow up with some information as well. So I will let Holly talk at this time.
Good morning. My name is Holly Fitzgerald. I'm a social worker at Lakeview Medical Center. Right now I'm working in the oncology department. I come from the hospital side. I've been at Lakeview Medical Center about probably 12 years. A fun fact, Marshfield Clinic and Mayo get along. Paula and I have been working together probably for the entire time I've been at over 10 years. We've been working together for over 10 years, and today is the first time we've ever met in person. We've been on the phone. When I was in the hospital, we were on the phone at least every week talking, and I've never met her in person. I find that fascinating. Fun fact number 2, social workers never prepare for anything. I got here this morning and I met Paula for the first time. I thought that was fascinating. And I said, "Are you thinking what I'm thinking?" And she said, "Yeah, absolutely. We're going to wing it." And so we're going to wing it. And social workers don't prepare because we usually respond to whatever we're doing. We usually are responding to a crisis, and they're always different. So what we'll do is we'll kind of figure out what you guys are looking for, like a quick needs assessment, and then we'll respond to that. So, how many people have advanced directives? Okay. That's everybody. So what do you guys want to talk about? Anything else?
Well,
Yeah.
one thing I really appreciated was the appointments that were set up at Marshfield. I don't know, at Marshfield where you could just go in and do it, because we talked about it for 1,000 years, and then
Yeah.
when those appointments were available, that was when it was so wonderful.
Yeah, so we do appointments at Lakeview Medical Center, second Wednesday of every month. I'll have sheets in the back. If anybody's interested, tell your friends if you guys do have your advanced directives done. They're free appointments to get your advanced directive done. I am going to have Paula talk a little bit more about actual who, what, when, why you need advanced directives done. So most of you have them done. There's a few that don't, though, right? Who does not have them done? Okay, so I'll be talking to you guys mostly. So the ones that don't have your advanced directives done, I'm going to get your brain kind of thinking about what they are and why you're going to need them, and then I'll have Paula talk about what they are. So think, and this would be kind of different, but think about your death and what that looks like. Where are you? What's the surroundings? Are you in a hospital? Is it sudden? Most people think that their deaths are sudden, but that's not always the case. Sometimes the end of life lasts several months. And during that time, you're not always able to make decisions for yourself. And that's the kind of period of time where you're going to need your advanced directives. It can be several months, it can be several years. You're kind of filling out the advanced directives. The mindset you really want to have is the worst case scenario. And the worst case scenario is something like a severe dementia or like a stroke. The other thing to think about when you're completing advanced directives is who you want to list as your agent. So that's really the main purpose of these, is to list somebody that can be your voice if you can't make a decision, a healthcare decision. So the scenario, you're in the hospital, let's say you had a stroke, you're not able to communicate, your family members are there, the doctors are talking to your family members about options. Let's say feeding tube. Now you have to decide what family member do you think you want making decisions about that feeding tube? Who's comfortable making that decision? Who's comfortable in that role, really? Who do you trust carrying out that decision for you? I mean, so there's a lot to think about when you're making these forms and filling out these forms. I think what we'll do is we'll talk about the actual form itself and why you need it and kind of the risk and benefit of not having one and the options and getting them done. And then we'll leave some room for questions. Okay? Paula? All right.
Mayo Clinic and Hospital also has, you can come in and just ask the registration or call and ask the registration, and they'll hook you up with social services. And we also fill out power of attorney for healthcare forms at no cost. And we don't have a particular day because we never know what our days are going to be like. We just kind of put you in a day and say, okay, here it is. We will make it work that day. What I have is, I've got some state forms back in the back. If anybody does not have a power of attorney for healthcare, you can certainly take one, fill it out. I have the Mayo form here that's very similar. And what we have is, so you're going to fill out your personal information, your name, personal, your address, birth date, telephone number, and then you're going to have choices as to who you would want as your healthcare agent. And I do always say, try to consider the individuals that you feel that would want to follow your wishes. I have a son who was probably kind of upset that I did not pick him. But I know that he is soft-hearted and would not want to do what I would want him to do. So he is not my first choice. I also did not pick my husband as my first choice. I don't always recommend husbands or spouses. And for one reason is, as you age, your spouse ages and could be in a very similar situation as you are. So that's not always necessarily the best choice. And I've told him that. I said, if we are in a car accident, the likelihood of both of us being in a car accident and being in a similar situation is very high. Whereas my adult children, they're probably not going to be in the car with me. So it's more likely that they are going to be available to make the decisions where he's going to be in a hospital bed right alongside me or in another room. So I have not picked my husband as my healthcare agent. He's not necessarily happy about it. That's my choice. And those are your choices. And you shouldn't have your family members. Yes?
If I could just add something.
Yes.
My dad had a very severe bleed in his brain to where he could not communicate, and he was paralyzed. And he did need to be intubated and a feeding tube and all that. And as that process began, my mom was his power of attorney. very, very difficult time for my dad. before
It's
he
very hard for a spouse to.
It's hard to imagine yourself in that situation, but when you are, who you have picked is very important.
Very important. You have to take into consideration. You have to put feelings aside and pick that person that you know will do what you are asking them to do. It's very, very, very important because you can't change it afterwards. You have a choice of alternate. Mayo's form has 3 choices. The state form has 2 choices. You have an alternate choice. And the other thing is to be aware of is if you choose one and something happens to that first one, or that first one can't make those choices, you only have one choice left. Yes?
When you say Mayo's form, the state form, Marshfield has a form, do all of these forms have to be honored? Like if you had a Marshfield form, you ended up in the Mayo Hospital, do they
Yes.
have to honor it?
Yes, because they are required to, we had to get approval from the state, and they all have to have specific things in them. And the specific things are, 2 doctors have to state that the person's incapable of making medical decisions for it to be activated. It has to state if the person is in agreement for the healthcare agent to make the decision in regards to nursing home or community-based facilities, in regards to admitting them. It also has to talk about feeding tubes. Is that healthcare agent, are you in agreement to them making decisions in regards to not having a feeding tube or removing a feeding tube? It has to talk about healthcare decisions during pregnancy. And it has to have a section for optional statements. Like it doesn't necessarily, ours has CPR option here, but they don't all, so it has to have that section. So if you want to put no CPR, if you want to put no life prolonging measures, things like that, it has to have that in it. And there has to be 2 witnesses. The witnesses cannot be family members. They cannot be the agents. And if you are in a hospital setting, they cannot be anybody but clergy or social services. Also in a nursing home setting, any long-term care setting, they're supposed to be nurses. They can't be staff of that setting. Or they're supposed to be social workers, not staff of the setting, other than social worker, clergy.
Is this the time to ask about that admission to nursing homes or community-based residential facilities? I think that's just interesting. What's the legal ramification of that? If a person says, I do not give permission from my agent to admit me to a nursing home or a facility, what happens?
Then you have to go guardianship. And actually, even if they say they agree to and they're aggressively stating that they don't at the time, we've had to do guardianships.
And what is that?
A guardianship is you have to go to court and ask the courts for legal guardianship through the court system, where you become a guardian of the elder individual. Or it doesn't have to be the agent, it can be they have volunteer guardians, they have corporate guardians, or the family
So
can
is that
be.
a protective thing to make sure that that guardian is able to do what needs to be done without family and just the
For protective placement, that would be protective placement, and protective placement is the courts are saying that that individual has to be in a nursing home, or a setting such as a nursing home, or that safest place for them.
What would happen if, what I can picture this scenario, I know you as a social worker can't let a person, my understanding is that there's some legal ramifications if you allow a person to go home to an unsafe environment. Let's say the person says, I want to be only at home, I signed this form, and I'm doing your wishes, but you can tell that it's not going to be safe for that person.
If, what I have done, if they have signed this and they're not their own person, is that what you're asking?
Well, yeah, it just seems.
Or if they're their own person?
Who's the person who is out here in a tough spot? If my mom has said no nursing home, no community-based residential, and I know we can't take care of her, or I don't think even home care is going to be enough.
Yeah,
What happens?
we go for guardianship. You go for guardianship.
And the guardianship is not an overnight decision.
No, it's not.
It's possible.
Yeah, unless they're medical assistants, you have to go through guardianship, that's it. The other thing is, I've had cases in that case where I will tell the person, the individual, as well as the family, that I will have to report it to county in regards to a report of,
Are you generally advising allowing your person to make this decision to avoid this whole scenario?
I suggest that, I ask them, would you want this person to make that decision? If they don't make this decision, or if you say no, then the other alternative is this. I'm not advising them to do one way or the other, but I am informing them if they don't do this, this is the alternative.
Exactly. I was just.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's helpful.
Yeah. Because I can't tell them one way or the other.
We don't read signs either.
We're good. Social workers,
We're not near done.
We're done, I guess.
Oh, one more question.
I have one important point to make in regard to the guardianship that is also coming up.
Yep.
Is that at
we're not
times,
talking.
community-based residents can request that one of their residents be removed for a reason.
Mm-hmm.
If you are a guardian and have the county involved, it is much more likely that your wishes will be taken care of for that person rather than an administrator saying, my home can no longer take care of your home.
Mm-hmm. Oh, yes.
So it gives you a lot of protection.
Yeah, it does. We weren't talking, by the way.
And I'd like to know, did you give us that extra time that those other people didn't get?
I'm staying till the end. If anybody has questions at the very end, just contact me at the end, okay?